This is 7 News.
Tonight, an horrific attack on a young woman set on fire in her Perth home.
King hit, a brutal bashing caught on video.
A terrifying home invasion. A 5-year-old girl threatened at gunpoint.
Sit down on the chair now or I will shoot you.
And an injury scare for star eagle Mark Carr.
From the studios of 7 Perth, Ardon and Susannah Carr.
Good evening. We start with breaking news. A bus carrying school children has crashed into cars in Cottesloe. Blake Johnson is overhead in the 7 News helicopter. Blake, how bad is it?
Well, luckily, Sue, nobody was seriously injured, but looking at the crash scene, that is quite a lucky feat. Exactly what happened, we can't be 100% sure, but it looks like 2 buses and 5 cars have smashed together on the corner of Stirling Highway and Jarrad Streets in Cottesloe. One of the buses was carrying schoolgirls from Iona College. They're okay, but people or a person in one of the cars was trapped for a while. They've now been freed. There's a few traffic problems on Stirling Highway tonight. If you're heading south, you're fine, but coming from Fremantle, both lanes are closed. Traffic is back to Wellington Street, so it might be best to pick the coastal road. Rick?
Thanks, Blake. A young Perth woman has been set on fire in what police describe as a premeditated attack. Neighbours heard the woman screaming for help from her Rivervale apartment this morning. Tonight, she's in Royal Perth Hospital with 30% burns. Grant Taylor reports.
Neighbours heard a fire alarm and then a woman screaming, "Help me, help me," just before 7 this morning. When they got to her apartment, they found her standing in the hallway, badly burnt and with her clothes and skin still smouldering. Her neighbour, Dennis, put her straight into a cold shower and called for help.
I just said to her, I said, "I've got to get you into your shower. Where's your shower?"
Police say it appears to have been a premeditated attack and it's likely the woman knew her attacker. They broke into her apartment, doused her with an accelerant and set her alight.
I won't speculate on the type of accelerant that was used, but any type of accelerant, as you could appreciate, would cause a lot of skin damage.
Police say the woman was aged in her mid-20s. It's understood she lived alone and worked in marketing. Police believe her attacker climbed over a wall to access a courtyard outside her ground floor apartment. There's signs of forced entry on the patio doors.
We have a number of witnesses that heard a disturbance in the morning that would suggest that there was something obviously not right.
The woman is tonight in a critical condition in Royal Perth Hospital's burns unit. She has burns to about 30% of her body, including her face. Family members are now by her side. It's the 3rd time a woman has been set alight in Perth in the last 5 months. A young Chinese woman was attacked in her home in December. She's still in hospital, recovering from her burns. A young Samoan woman was also set alight in a Thornley Park last September.
And Grant Taylor is at the Rivervale crime scene. Grant, this is a disturbing crime and puzzling for police.
Well, Sue, police aren't saying if they've got any suspects, but I can tell you they are throwing everything at this. A forensic team is still inside, picking their way slowly through the woman's house. And I've seen at least a dozen detectives here going door to door, looking for anyone who saw or heard anything that can help. Police are also working behind the scenes, obviously trying to build up a picture of the woman's family and associates, trying to work out why anyone would want to hurt her. Rick?
Thanks, Grant. You're about to see video of a shocking, unprovoked attack that left a student with serious injuries. He was king hit and left unconscious in a City Hungry Jack's store. A warning, the video is confronting and may upset some viewers. David Cooper reports.
Look to the left of your screen. A minor verbal altercation is about to explode into violence. Just one punch and the 23-year-old is knocked out cold. That doesn't stop the attackers. They ignore the victim's unconscious body to get to his mate. He's repeatedly punched and kicked to the head and face. All while his seriously injured friend lies on the floor, oblivious to the trouble they're in.
A prolonged, unprovoked, quite a savage attack.
It happened 10 days ago in the heart of the city, Hungry Jack's on William Street, a busy family fast food restaurant. The attackers walk in and make a beeline for the victim. It looks pretty friendly, but he's never seen them before.
It's quite cowardly. These people, as the footage will show, didn't want to be any part of it. Many times they had their hands up, moving away from the scene, and these gentlemen have literally just escalated and known that these guys aren't going to fight back.
At the top of your screen, the manager tries to calm the situation, but the attackers brush him off and head for the victims again.
At this point, we believe it's completely an unprovoked attack.
These are the men police are hunting. Both are described as being of Asian appearance in their 20s. David Cooper, 7 News.
A 5-year-old girl had a gun pointed at her face during a home invasion in Perth's south. The gunman threatened to shoot the young girl and her family. Blake Johnson reports.
Yeah, and he's pointed at her and said, yeah, go back in the room, little girl.
The chilling warning the gunman gave Donna Addison's 5-year-old daughter, Bella.
Then he's put the gun to me and said, sit down on the chair now or I will shoot you now. So I sat down, yeah, he was pointing it at my mum, waving it to her, saying, where's old mate, where's old mate?
Donna and 7 of her 8 kids were home last night when the man walked through the unlocked front door of her White Gum Valley house. He was trying to find someone. Donna says she had no idea who.
I thought someone was going to get shot.
The man was also armed with a knife.
My kids have never seen violence or anything of the sort, you know, and it's probably going to traumatise them for the rest of their lives.
Pointed straight like that at me, you know, like, where's old mate, where's old mate? And I'm like, who's old mate, mate?
Rhonda bluffed the gunman and gave him a random address in Willagee. He took off.
Donna's lived in the Holmes West house at the back of this duplex block for the past 6 years. She says she has absolutely no idea who the gunman was referring to last night and is convinced he had the wrong address.
A 24-year-old man was arrested this afternoon, but police are yet to charge him. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
There's been a development tonight at the protest camp set up on Harrison Island, and Alexis Donkin, council officials arrived with a notice to remove the tents.
Yes, Rick, good evening. I can tell you, though, those tents are still up and the protesters say they're not going anywhere. This protest is over the Barnett government's $1 billion native title claim. These people aren't happy with it. Now, as you said, those council officials came with a letter asking that the tents be brought down, but that hasn't happened and the letter was never handed over. There was somewhat of a confrontation. Let's take a look at what happened.
Stop right there, you have to stop. You're not allowed to come in our safety.
Warra, warra, warra.
So as we go to air tonight, there's a stalemate. The City of Perth wants the campsite gone, but the protesters are still here. Sue.
Thanks, Alexis. 7 News has discovered that a sick Perth woman who needs life-saving surgery could be waiting another 6 to 8 weeks for an operation. We exposed the plight of Patricia Svensson on Monday, how she's waiting to have cancer removed. Jeff Parry explains what's happened.
Hi, Patricia. How are you? Patricia Svensson was back at Sir Charles Gardner Hospital today to have an infusion pump removed. Her latest bout of chemotherapy over till the next time. Patricia, health-wise, how are you feeling?
Rather tired and weak today because I've had chemo for the last 3 days.
Patricia needs an operation called a peritonectomy to remove cancer from her abdominal wall, and if she doesn't get it in the next couple of months, she expects to be dead by the end of the year.
Naturally, I'm anxious.
We first met Patricia on Monday, fighting to get the operation that would save her life. After inquiries by 7 News, the Health Department announced that instead of operating at Sir Charles Gardner Hospital as planned, they would move the operations to Fremantle Hospital. Now they say it could take 6 to 8 weeks, and that's bad news for Patricia.
She's caught up in bureaucracy, isn't it? You want to get sort of all the ducks lined up, and she might pay the price.
I want to make sure that we're able to provide a safe service. That's what the 6 to 8 weeks will take us.
7 News understands Patricia's surgeon, the only one in the state who does this procedure, can operate within days.
He may well be able to do it tomorrow, so long as we've got all the rest of the service and safety can happen tomorrow.
What's hard to understand is the Health Department's been working for months towards peritonectomy procedures being carried out here at Sir Charles Gardner Hospital. The first operation was scheduled in about 2 weeks. Then earlier this week, they threw all those preparations away and moved the operations to Fremantle. Jeff Parry, 7 News.
The man who grounded Qantas, stranding passengers around the world, is now slashing at least 500 jobs while pocketing a $2 million bonus. Alan Joyce says he has no alternative after profits nosedived a massive 83%.
Caught in turbulence, Qantas is battling to reach blue skies. To get there, it says, plenty will need to be jettisoned.
Doing nothing is not an option. We will not be propping up the past at the expense of the future.
Just how bad the recent past has been shown by today's bombshells. A paltry $42 million half-year profit, down $199 million or 83%, and more than 500 jobs will be cut.
There'll be no jobs going offshore, not one.
But the jobs going immediately will be lost around the country. 65 are catering, 50 pilots, 122 cabin crew, 225 engineers and 45 ground crew.
It seems that Alan Joyce's legacy will be to turn the flying kangaroo into kangaroo stew.
Still in the firing line, the jobs of 1,500 heavy maintenance workers under review, says Mr Joyce, because the latest aircraft need less upkeep.
All we've got to do is have a look at the A380 and the cracks that are now developing in the wings to know that these new aircraft aren't necessarily bulletproof.
Qantas blames its troubles on rising fuel costs, the strong Aussie dollar and unions. But unions say the airline's profits have suffered from its decision to ground the entire fleet last year. Alan Joyce says, in fact, the airline's rebounded, but not enough to save all its workforce.
Tough decisions today will ensure we don't need to make harsher ones later.
Chris Marr, 7 News.
A 14-year-old boy is among 2 teenagers charged with assaulting police in the city. The teenagers are accused of randomly trying to fight strangers in Barrack Square, and 2 boys, aged 14 and 15, have been charged with assaulting a public officer. It took several officers to overpower the teens and take them into custody.
That smoke haze over Perth just won't go away. In fact, it swept in this morning worse than yesterday. Natalia Cooper, what's happening with the haze now?
Rick, it's cleared up a fair bit from that thick cover we woke up to. The city was near invisible around 7:30 this morning. The smoke haze is expected to be thick again tomorrow morning. Skies should clear on Saturday or on Sunday at the latest, when strong easterlies will push the remaining haze out to sea. The fire at Northcliffe, which is causing all the smoke, is contained, but pockets will continue to burn until the weekend. The Asthma Foundation says sufferers should stay out of the smoke haze as much as they can. Rick, Sue.
Thanks, Natalia. Still to come on 7 News tonight, the end of a 2-day search for a missing grandfather.
Also, middle-aged women taking their own lives. The deadly disease behind the disturbing statistics.
And the cool new fashions for winter.
In 7's Money Watch, the Australian stock market closed down today. The ASX 200 off 71 points, dragged down by renewed concerns that Greece will default on its debt. Every major sector was lower. Materials, the hardest hit, losing more than 2%. Qantas shares rose 9 cents, or more than 6%, after announcing they will slash 500 jobs, and the big 4 banks softened. And Caltex has not ruled out shutting down its Australian oil refineries after writing down the value of its assets by $1.5 billion due to the high Aussie dollar and Asian competition. $1 Australian dollar is buying $1.06 US cents.
A Perth man who bashed an off-duty police officer has avoided jail. Instead, he's been fined $5,000. The money will go to his victim. Daniel Thomason pleaded guilty to repeatedly punching Constable Ryan Moorhead in the face. The constable was off-duty at the time. He'd been trying to stop a friend of Thomason's who was vandalising a lamppost. Daniel Thomason says he didn't know Constable Moorhead was a police officer. The police union says the sentence is too light.
Yeah, but our members are outraged at it. I've spoken to the officer concerned. He's absolutely disappointed.
Thomason was initially given a 9-month jail term, but it was suspended for 2 years.
A great-grandfather who disappeared 2 days ago has been found just a block away from his nursing home. Norman Mills is tonight in hospital with severe dehydration and extreme sunburn. Police say the 87-year-old spent 2 days and 2 nights on the ground after he fell off his motorised wheelchair.
Thank you so much. It's just a wonderful ending. We can hold Dad's hand and tell him that we love him, and so many people never get that opportunity.
Norman Mills was found this morning at the back of a Yanchep property when the owner went looking for his pet rabbit.
Police say the death of a man found in the Swan River in Bassendean late yesterday is not suspicious. A search was sparked after an emergency beacon was activated in the area. Water police then discovered the man's body. It's believed he had the EPIRB attached to his leg when he was found.
Doctors fear an alarming number of middle-aged women could be taking their own lives after suffering from a little-known but severe form of depression. Now researchers are urgently trialling hormone replacement therapies with antidepressants.
44-year-old Tanaz Masik is happy now, but just 3 months ago she was at rock bottom.
Overwhelmed by fear, uncontrollable crying, a sense of sadness and hopelessness.
Tanaz was diagnosed with perimenopausal depression, a little-known depression associated with hormone changes.
This is a condition that is severe, that is impacting on her quality of life.
Other symptoms include anger, hostility and irritability.
Between 50 and 54, there's quite a high rate of completed suicide, and that's of grave concern.
Menopause symptoms, including hot flushes, weight gain and sleeping problems, combined with depression, can be treated together. Women with these symptoms should find a doctor they're comfortable with, take some form of hormone replacement therapy, which may include phytoestrogens, which is a natural plant-based food high in estrogen, as well as an antidepressant. Since beginning a combined HRT and targeted antidepressant treatment, Tanaz is a changed woman.
Within a week, I was smiling again.
Karen O'Sullivan, 7 News.
Nearly 360 people are feared dead after a prison fire in Honduras in Central America. Officials say the blaze was deliberately lit by a disgruntled prisoner who set fire to a mattress in his cell. The blaze spread quickly through the overcrowded prison. Guards ran away from the blaze, taking with them the keys to the cells and leaving prisoners trapped inside.
David Jones has unveiled its fashions for the cooler months at its autumn-winter launch in Sydney last night. Australian designers rolled out the top trends with plenty of tailored suits, leather and floral prints. 300 VIP guests dined on canapé and sipped champagne, while models, led by Miranda Kerr, strutted the catwalk. The show was streamed live on Facebook. And Basil's here with sport now. A nervous night for the Eagles, Baz.
It is, Sue. They've got their fingers crossed, hoping it's not season over for Mark Lacroix. What a blow. The Eagles' sharpshooter goes down at training. And can father help son? Sean Marsh looks to dad for some answers.
Hello, Natalia Cooper with you. Another hazy day in Perth, and the smoke haze isn't expected to clear until Saturday. After that, we're going to see a couple of very hot days. Currently in the city, it's 24.5, humidity 71%, and winds are from the southwest at 19 kilometres an hour. We had a top today of 29.7. That was just before midday. 19.5 was the overnight low. Around the metro area, Northam again had a hot day, 37 degrees. A much cooler 26 over at Rottnest, Mandurah with 28. Around WA, more very hot temperatures through the Kimberley and Pilbara today, 46 degrees in Roebourne. There's been a break in the monsoon season up there, which has caused those temperatures to rise. There have been some isolated showers and storms on the southeast coast and in the Goldfields today. 2 millimetres has fallen in Esperance so far. Tomorrow, an afternoon storm for Kalgoorlie, a shower or two in Albany and a possible shower expected in Bunbury. Over to the satellite, and the stormy activity through central parts of the state near a trough will move further east tomorrow as that trough moves away. A weak cold front is set to bring a couple of showers to the southwest and the south coast tomorrow. Interstate tomorrow, storms in Canberra, the chance of a thunderstorm and 28 in Sydney and a shower or two clearing in Melbourne. Back home and on our waters, southerly winds 13 to 18 knots, increasing to south-southwest 20 to 25 during the day, seas to 2 metres and swell to 1 metre. So haze again tomorrow, especially in the morning, a top of 30 after a low tonight of 19 degrees. Then the smoke haze should finally clear over the weekend. We're going for a top of 31 on Saturday, a hot 35 degrees on Sunday and even warmer on Monday, 37 degrees. After that, it's cooling off a little, but it's going to be a bit humid on Tuesday. And before I go, happy 60th wedding anniversaries to Jim and May McGrath of Kenwick and Muriel and Bob Nestor of Mandurah. That's all from me. Here's Powerball.
That's 7 News for this Thursday. Thanks for your company.
Now here's Monica and Today Tonight.
Nobody knows.